I'm a lion, a big, hungry lion, sitting beside a tree.
Hello, Stephanie Sterling here. I'm trapped in London, but thanks to the magic of having an animated lobster for a minute, I can still come to you with words and things for you to hear. It is unbelievable how much the lobster is already paying for itself. Anyway, speaking of paying for things, let's talk about how expensive it is to have executives. At least alive ones. Okay, we've had fun in recent videos talking about wonderful interactive experiences of such high production quality they're worth every single penny. Now we gotta bring down the fucking mood and make shit miserable by talking about the other 90% of video games. It's back to business, literally, because we're going to lay another hot soft dump on the filthy world of this industry's leech-like executive class.
You look like a real jerk. Well, I am a corporate executive.
I've been talking less and less about the kind of subjects that used to be my bread and butter for a number of reasons. My recent work's had a ton of positive feedback, it's been more creatively fulfilling to do essays about stuff I actually like, and perhaps most importantly, it's more mentally destructive to focus on the voracious media vandals who've moved from consuming our industry to shitting out the nutrient-sapped, stinking remains. Inevitably though, my eyes must turn to the modern day AAA industry crapsack, either because something truly important happened that cannot be ignored, or because I'm in London on business with like 5 hours at best to get a video prepared. If I want to be sure of it going up Monday, and sneering at corpo scum sniffers is significantly easier than prepping a thoughtful retrospective or design analysis or whatever. So yeah, I'll be totally honest and say that I very much want to shift further away from depressing current affairs reactivity and continue the much brighter stuff, but Zilla and I do this show every week while spinning other professional and personal plates, and the grim reality of mainstream games will always offer easy content for two sassy NBs with a deadline.
Hey, don't rush me.
When I say that, by the way, I ain't being self-deprecating, I intend it wholly as a slight against the business. It shouldn't be easy to pen a script at the last minute about how awful it is to make video games. I shouldn't be able to get endless mileage out of a medium being systematically murdered by imbeciles with too much money and a deficit of decency. Abject misery should not be so reliably sourced from the same joyous place that gave us fucking Kirby. But here we are, AAA video games, where you can always count on
Skeleton warriors.
You know, I didn't intend to get this real about the situation when I started writing the script. I was just going to do a brief aside before moving right onto my planned topic of feeding CEOs to lions. But hey, I guess it's useful for y'all to see where I'm coming from and how I think about my work. After all, I may work more within the game business myself these days, but not so much that I've forgotten what sincerity looks like. London's exactly how I remember it, by the way. Unfortunately. Anyway, just because it's easier for me to draw from the piss-filled well of corporate cockscapades, that doesn't mean we're here to half-ass things.
Because the peach emoji means butt. Try to keep up. Stop interrupting me.
So welcome to the latest installment of a sub-series I like to call Game Executives Should Rub Dried Flakes of Semen Into Their Eyes. Working title. I want to talk about incentives today, the extra helpings of cash that game bosses get to keep on top of the millions of dollars they get by default just for meddling with game development in ways that incur delays, make products worse, and inflict psychic damage on the people who they're planning to lay off after exploiting enough labour out of them. Do well at your high-paid job and you'll get even more money is one hell of an incentive, or so you'd think. If you're not an already wealthy member of the executive class, you can still have your job performance incentivised, but it tends to be a little less lucrative. Perform well or you're fired, your colleagues are fired, and your entire studio will be killed so we can puppeteer its defiled carcass and strip mine everything you've ever created until it's so desiccated it'll make silica gel more redundant than half your industry. Yeah, compared to an extra couple of mil in the pocket, it's hardly inspiring. Oh well, at least it means game developers are certain to keep their jobs when they do them well and make a high quality game that doesn't flop, right? Right? Right, such is the strength with which ill-gotten gains attract ill-gotten gains. Executives don't just get performance bonuses, they get bonuses just because. just bonuses, just to have extra money. Hell, they can get signing bonuses when a company hires them, literally getting paid extra for the accomplishment of being hired into a highly paid job. Free money. Be sure to thank the people who actually earned it for you when you lay them all off in 6 months. Few things, I think, highlight the sheer heights of privilege enjoyed by executives than the notion that they need to be incentivized to work for their millionaire's pay packet. That being paid more than everyone working beneath you combined is apparently not enough for these people. Like Bobby Kotick got bonuses for sitting on his functionally pointless dumper as head of a company with one of the largest pay disparities in America. A literal billionaire who did literally nothing and got paid literally the most for it, apparently couldn't get the job done without extra good boy cream smeared on his smooth pink nutsack. It's more than egregious. It's sick. I'll say one thing for creative industries, it takes some fucking creativity to justify giving all the money to your industry's least creative people. Anyway, Namco Bandai is doing something a little different with the way it plans to incentivize its management, and wow, if the bar isn't on the floor, if I caught myself almost feeling fractionally impressed that a big game publisher is trying something adjacent to new, rather than the usual strategy of rote repetition with the expectation of unique results.
Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
Oh, and I really do mean it when I say the bar is on the floor, because what they're doing isn't that different, and the psychology behind it is so corporately lick-spitlish it makes me want to be sick all over Bobby Kotick's smooth pink nutsack. Going forward, the company plans to pay the lordlings thusly. 30% of their pay will be a set salary, 70% will be performance-based. It's a 10% shift from the previous ratio of 40-60. Additionally, 50% of the payout will not be in cash but in company shares. The logic behind this is, well, it constitutes logic, I won't deny that. The company wants its executives to act even more in the interests of shareholders than they already do, and figure that deepening their own investment will put them further into the investor's mindset. Executive salaries will be capped at $4.14 million, which is roughly $5.15 million more than the average executive deserves. Some of that salary will also be tied up in company stock. Bonuses will be paid on the exact kind of guff you'd expect, maximizing profits, raising perceived value, furthering the corporate lie of perpetual growth upon which publishers sustain themselves. To be fair to Namco Bandai, the way they've laid the plan out means that entry-level jobs will be paid more. Thus concludes the being fair to Namco Bandai segment. I can't help being incredibly entertained that what a game publisher has effectively done is monetize empathy, which is one of the most game publisher moves I could ever conceive of. Just a shame that it's empathy for the people who are least deserving of it, who are so selfish they'd never entertain anyone's point of view than their own. Pretty incredible, really. Like, it's all but admitted to that public game publishers already exist for the sole purpose of enriching wealthy investors, but almost as if to parody itself, the industry feels it needs to further encourage that devotion to investor wealth, because literally total devotion isn't enough devotion. Like I said, this ultimately doesn't deviate from what companies already do. In essence, it's just tweaked mechanics with the same obscene motive as always. Incentives have always existed to push profits over people, cynicism over creativity, the kind of investor-humping attitude that sees mass layoffs and enshittified products as companies hit profit ceilings and have to contrive ways of keeping the growth grift going. And it's all for the people who, you know, don't do the actual work that generates the actual revenue, incentivizing executives who don't make games to appeal to investors who don't make games. That's what all these bonuses and perks and belly rubs are in service to. How are we living in a world where this is considered normal and not, like, fucking criminal? Don't assume though, humble viewer, that I've come before you without a solution, you twat. See, I've given this some thought and I have a new way. A better way. A truly innovative new system of incentivizing that will ensure peak job performance among game industry leadership. I give to you, lions. The system is as simple as the single-minded worldview of the average corporate shareholder. Each executive sits on a chair positioned on a conveyor belt. At the end of the conveyor belt is lions. The conveyor belt speed is tied directly to the heart rates of the company's biggest investors, whose infantile understanding of where the money comes from sees them prone to panic at the slightest sign of a company not making more of the stuff than it made the year before, even if it's still making loads of money. If the investors remain calm, then no lions. If the investors remain anxious, lions. lions! Not only will the Lions Initiative be far more effective than the current system of rewarding a bunch of lazy bums, it will also be much, much cheaper. You can buy a lot of lion for a fraction of the money currently being siphoned out of the game industry into offshore bank accounts, and they're not even interested in the stock options. I already have a lead on sourcing cheap lions. Lloyd, this guy I know who hangs out by a river, says he can get me 5 functional lions by Tuesday. Or at least several really angry goats. With all the money we're saving, we'll be able to provide every shareholder in the company a private tutor to teach them high school economics, so they can better understand that money isn't an infinite resource farted into being by a magic fucking gnome, and that panicking the year after releasing a phenomenally successful video game because you can't make phenomenons happen on demand is the moronic fucking behaviour of a fucking moron. They're predicting a 60% reduction of profits for Namco Bandai this year, not because it's actually losing anything, but because Elden Ring made so much money, and you can't have an Elden Ring every year. But the wild success of Elden Ring isn't the framing, isn't the lead story. No, investors will see it as a reduction, and reduction as a loss, because they're fucking dickheads. Only in the truly unhinged mind of the terminally profit-poisoned could yesterday's hit game cast a shadow of failure on tomorrow. God damn, I'm good at words. Albeit in a tortuously indulgent way.
No, it's okay. People ask that one in the comments section every week. But yeah, that's the deal with Bruce Lee. It's just an adverb pun. Anyways, checkmate or Yahtzee or whatever game we was playing, I just won it. Oh, relax. You know you get a rematch every time the McRib comes back. But I gotta skedaddle. Monday's coming. Oh, and if Bobby Kotick comes through here before I get back, his favorite game is called Lit Firecrackers Jammed Up His
At this juncture, I would like to point out that I do not sincerely endorse the feeding of executives to lions,
But I'm still as hungry as can be.
nor the psychological harm that would be inflicted on shareholders by trying to have them educated. Furthermore, I do not condone any of the lurid things Lloyd told me his goats are capable of, and would much prefer not to have spent 2 hours sat near that bit of the river where the girl died, listening to his drunken sales pitch, laced with detailed descriptions of his sexual conquests. Craig, what do you think of that? Yeah, I don't know why GDC rejected it either. And that's that. That'll do. Sorry if it's not any more extravagant than that, but I don't know if you heard me when I said that I was trapped in London. Like, seriously, I was supposed to be back home and the trains got all fucked while I was off seeing Ponkle for something. So that's that. But I hope you enjoyed the video anyway. It's kind of alright, and I'll see you next week with another kind of alright video. Thank you so much. Thank God for me and all of that jazz. I've never said all of that jazz. Doesn't suit me.